Chinese President Xi Jinping began a tour of Southeast Asia, starting with Vietnam on April 14, 2025, followed by Malaysia and Cambodia, to strengthen economic ties amid an escalating trade war with the United States. The U.S. has imposed 145% tariffs on Chinese goods, while China retaliated with 125% tariffs on U.S. imports. Xi's visit aims to counter these tensions by promoting China as a stable trade partner, with around 40 agreements expected to be signed in Vietnam alone, including deals on railways and digital economy cooperation. Southeast Asia, particularly the ASEAN bloc, is China's largest export market, making the region critical as Beijing seeks to offset U.S. trade barriers. However, countries like Vietnam are also navigating U.S. relations, balancing economic ties with both powers while facing their own U.S. tariffs, 46% for Vietnam, 49% for Cambodia, and 24% for Malaysia. President Xi Jinping arrived in Vietnam on April 14, 2025, and was warmly received by Vietnamese leaders, including President Luong Quang and Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh. The visit, marking 75 years of diplomatic ties, featured a ceremonial welcome with flag-waving crowds and a 21-gun salute. Xi's agenda includes signing around 40 agreements to boost trade and connectivity, reinforcing China's role as Vietnam's top trading partner amid heightened U.S.-China trade tensions. Public sentiment on platforms like X reflects mixed views, with some highlighting the strategic partnership and others noting Vietnam's balancing act with the U.S. Specific details on the agreements signed during President Xi Jinping's visit to Vietnam on April 14, 2025, are limited, as their full contents have not been publicly disclosed. However, based on available information, around 40 to 45 cooperation agreements were signed, covering key areas aimed at strengthening bilateral ties amid global trade tensions. Here's what is known. 1. Trade and supply chains. Agreements focused on enhancing production and supply chain cooperation to counter disruptions from U.S. tariffs, 145% on Chinese goods, 46% on Vietnamese goods. These aim to deepen economic integration, with China as Vietnam's largest trading partner, $205.2 billion in bilateral trade in 2024. 2. Infrastructure, especially railways. Several deals involve railway development, including potential Chinese loans for an $8.3 billion rail link connecting northern Vietnam to China, and a new bridge across the Red River between Vietnam's Lao Cai province and China's Yunnan. These projects align with Vietnam's infrastructure goals and China's Belt and Road Initiative, though Vietnam avoids explicitly linking them to the latter due to domestic sensitivities. 3.